So welcome back to another workout, free of charge to keep you fit, to keep you sane. As you can tell, I'm not Tonya, and you're expecting Tonya in the video, and you will get her, I promise. She's much prettier than me and a much nicer person too. But she's just asked me to introduce the topic of this video because it's different slightly. Today, she'll be teaching for the first time a steady state class. So the question is really steady state versus intervals. What is the question really, and why would you be doing anything like this steady rather than the usual spinning class that you all know and love? Well, the question is, ideally, you do both steady state and interval riding. You see, typically when we spin, we are doing intervals. Stand up, sit down, run, recover, push hard, climb, recover, and rest. So each time, they're fun. That's what makes spinning so varied and interesting and keeps you entertained. And that's why 90% of all the classes we do are based around intervals. However, the fact that you're having intervals also means that you're having some recovery, because if you're going above your threshold, and I'll explain what the threshold really means in a moment, the amount of time you can spend above your threshold is quite short. So you get very breathless and then you recover. You interval and recover, but the recoveries mean that your average is quite a good bit lower when you're doing that than if you try and stay at a certain level that you can sustain for longer without dipping too low. Your averages are higher. So the answer to the question is both. It's really interesting to do interval training sometimes, but it's also interesting to do steady state. And steady state addresses part of your fitness that intervals don't. If you want to classify your fitness using words like strength, speed, and stamina, well, strength and speed, typical spinning will certainly do that for you, but stamina, the endurance, the ability to stay in the zone, that's what we're going to try and train you today. What is a threshold? What are we talking about, these thresholds? This is a physiological marker, and it's a purely personal thing, which changes with your fitness. You can move those thresholds up through applying yourself, as you do in your spinning classes. Basically, it's to do with lactic acid, which your body produces during exercise. Any level of exercise, your body is producing some. Whenever a muscle contracts, it produces some lactic acid. The harder you're contracting, the bigger muscle groups like your quads and glutes, the legs that drive the bike, the big muscle groups that you run with and swim with and cycle with, they produce a lot of lactate, and that makes you breathe heavily. The thing is that when you reach a certain threshold of producing lactic acid versus your body's ability to break it down and to get rid of it, it breaks down primarily in the liver. You get rid of it through your lungs as carbon dioxide in water, and your ability to break it down and then to get rid of it really is the hallmark of your fitness. So the threshold is that threshold at which your body is breaking it down at the same speed at which you are producing it. Once you're above that threshold, lactic acid starts to accumulate in your system quite quickly, and the amount of time you can spend above threshold is strictly limited. The higher you go above the threshold, the less time you are able to stay there. Below threshold, well, the further down below you are, the longer you can stay there. And the closer you get to it, by definition, we use threshold level 7 to describe what is your functional threshold power. I'll just talk about that in a minute. So the more we can get you to huff and puff, the more we can get you to stay up at that level, the more calories you burn. And then gradually, as you stay at that level, you'll find that level keeps moving and it gets higher and higher over time. But don't go too far over it, but then again, don't go too far under it as well when you come time to recover. So let's talk about levels 1 to 10. Where 10 is the hardest thing you've ever done, and level 1 is like watching EastEnders on TV. Well, level 1, 2, and 3, we don't really consider to be training. It's like walking around, standing about, level 4, just very slow walking, doesn't make you at all breathless. Training affects the cardiovascular improvement in your fitness with your stamina and your cardiovascular heart and lungs efficiency and all that happens when you're at level 5 and beyond. So let's talk about level 5. You're beginning to breathe a little deeper, but you can be having a conversation with your friend. If you're on a country walk and you're at level 5, you can talk all day long and you can walk all day long. That's level 5. But you're breathing comfortably and you're feeling really good. Level 6 is where we spend a lot of time in spinning, because now you're beginning to breathing deeper, but it's fun. It's not really super painful yet. Your legs aren't really burning that much at level 6. You could keep going at level 6 for several hours. In my days, it used to be sort of Ironman kind of level, because if you're doing 180K, you need to keep going, and then you're running a marathon afterwards. You need to keep your energy level manageable so you've got the stamina to continue. So level 6 is aerobic, intense, but you could pretty much go for several hours. Let's say 4, 5, 6 hours, 100 mile on a bike, an Ironman bike, 118 miles, breathing comfortably all the way. You kind of can have a conversation, but at the end of each sentence, you need a deep breath. Level 7, that's your threshold. You're beginning to produce lactic acid. At level 7, it's a gray area because there you're producing more than you're breaking. There you're a little bit less. So you get to learn where level 7 really is, but it's uncomfortable. And the definition of functional threshold power is in fact that level of heart rate and speed on your bike or in your swim or in your run or whatever sport you're doing, that level of output that you can just about manage for 1 hour. That is it. FTP, level 7, your lungs are beginning to burn. It's very difficult. It requires a lot of commitment. It's a mental game as well. To keep going for an hour at level 7, it requires you to dig quite deep for that. Level 8 is no longer any fun at all, because by level 8, your lactic acid is accumulating and you're not able to break it down fast enough. So the amount of time you can spend at level 8 is strictly limited. So that depends on your fitness. The more you train at level 8, the longer you can withstand within that lactate sort of blood and the discomfort of it. But let's say 20 minutes could be possible. It's level 8 is like riding your bicycle from Ashburton to Haytor. And those electric bikes don't count because they help you up with real legs, just your legs alone. Ashburton to Haytor, that's level 8. But in between that climb, there are a few bits that go from 9% to 20%. There's a few little kickers, we call them. Those kickers are level 9. Level 9 is you're already deeply uncomfortable, your breathing is very ragged, and you can maybe sustain that for 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 10 minutes at most. Level 9 is the end of the climb. When you're reaching Haytor and you're up there, it's the final sprint. It's the 3 or 4 minutes, 10 minutes at most where you can just dig deep and go for it. Now, level 10, we don't go there because that's, the sprinters, the Olympic athletes that do 100 meters, 200, 300 meters, and there isn't one, 400 meter running race, which is 40, 50 seconds. Anything longer than that's not level 10. You do it without hardly breathing at all. It's completely anaerobic. It's not even, your breathing isn't ragged because you pay that oxygen debt later. We don't talk about level 10. We don't go there in spinning. It's too intense. Level 9, we don't go there indoors. You've got to be on Dartmoor to experience level 9, really. So level 8, 7, and 6 is where it's at in terms of your threshold riding. 6, comfortable. 7, on the threshold. 8, distinctly uncomfortable. But today, Tonya will be teaching you at a lower level. Whew, thankful for that. You're going to be working more around level 5, level 6, and level 7. Just keep asking yourself the question all the time. At what level, how long could I keep this going for when you're riding? How long can I keep my legs going for this? And if the answer is, oh, all day long, well, then you're not yet on level 5. If the answer is a few hours, level 6. If the answer is, oh my gosh, I'd struggle to do this for an hour, that's level 7, and so on and so forth. Have fun, stay safe. You've got to do this, you've got to stay fit to stay sane, and enjoy the ride. It's going to be good fun. Let us know how you get along. Usually your comments and your likes and shares and subscribe is what we need, because in this world we just need your interaction. So thank you very much. Stay fit to stay sane. Lots of love. See you back in the next one. Enjoy the ride, and goodbye.